So, what advice would you give to somebody else if they were thinking about, they're listening to this and they're listening because they thought about how can I stop selling one-to-one work? How can I take what I know and put it online? What advice would you give them?
I think the two things I would say, one you've touched on already, is go with the minimum viable product. So don't feel you've got to spend 6 months or a year creating something huge before you launch, because the the big risk if you do that is you might create something that nobody wants, and then you've wasted a year of your life. So decide what your minimum viable product is for launch, and commit to launching when you have that level of product, that level of membership available. The second thing I would say is really important is create a waiting list. And this is something that I did when I launched mine. If I were going back in time, I would maybe spend longer launching the waiting list, but I'm impatient, so I so I didn't. And But the beauty of having a waiting list, so what I'm talking about here is you start telling people, people on your existing mailing list, people, existing clients, contacts, prospects, whatever your database of contacts is. You start telling them, this is what I'm working on. This is coming. Um, are you interested in it? Do you want to join the waiting list? And I did that, and it's totally no obligation. I said to people on a number of occasions, I'm creating this program. This is the outline of what it's going to look like, what the components of it will be. If you're interested in being one of the first to know when it launches, and getting in at a special founder members price and all that kind of thing, then just click here. And that added them to a waiting list. And that meant that at the time when I actually launched, I forget how many I had on the waiting list, but it wasn't a vast number. It was like, I don't know, 50 to 100 people, maybe. It meant I had that core of people who'd basically already committed that they were going to do it. They knew roughly what was going to be in the program. They knew what it was going to cost them. And so I sent the thing out saying, right, it's launching on this date. That was like a week beforehand. So you're building up that anticipation. And when I sort of actually opened the doors, as it were, and said, right, this is it. I, that got me my first 10 signups, something within the first hour. And that is, it's good from the commercial point of view, but it gets some money coming in for the membership straight away. But more importantly than that, it immediately validates that you've done something good, because you've told people what it is you're going to be selling. Okay, they've not actually parted with money yet, but they've said, we're on the waiting list, we will do as soon as you launch it. And then a decent percentage of those actually do it when the time comes. You think, right, yes, I have got something here which is right. I've got a viable product, and that gives you the impetus to then say, right, now we're into phase two. How do I grow the membership? How do I get more people into it? Whatever. But I think that's really important, because
Yeah,
obviously what you don't want is a membership where you've got two members, particularly if you're doing things like group coaching calls or whatever, because it doesn't have much energy, does it? If actually it's only it's you and two people.
yeah, and really good advice. I think the thing I would say to anybody that's thinking about doing this is do your research and do your validation. And the only way you really validate a program is by someone buying it, because someone might tell you that they're interested, but telling you they're interested in parting with their cash are two different things. So as part of your research and your validation, you need to pre-sell your program using a minimum viable offer. And at that stage, you probably don't have any content created. You've just mapped out what it will look like.